What's packing, cheeseheads? Welcome back to another episode of the What's Packing Sports Show. I am your host, God Chow, the first of his name, and we're going to be breaking down Aaron Rodgers' post-game comments right after the game. He was interviewed by the media, and he gave some insights into his feelings about the season, his timeline on his future, and what happened in the final minutes of the game. And then he also went on the Pat McAfee show, and I'm going to basically just combine both of these interviews into one reaction. So let's get right into it. When Rodgers was first asked about the ending result of the San Francisco 49er game, he admitted that he missed some throws. He admitted that he should have hit those checkdowns. He admitted that instead of forcing it to Davante Adams on that final drive, that Lazard was actually wide open on an in-cut route. And I would actually suggest one more option, which was Equanimeous St. Brown, who was beautifully streaking up the left sideline. And to me, it highlights a much deeper, bigger issue that LaFleur even touched on right after the loss, that their offense is pretty much designed and schemed to run through Davante Adams. And there was a point in time where this team and Rodgers were known for spreading the ball around to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different receivers. Who could forget the Sports Illustrated cover with Cobb and Driver and Jones and Jennings and Jordy and Jermichael, and the success that they had spreading the ball around? I don't know where or when or why Rodgers got obsessed with just forcing the ball to one player, but he didn't used to be that way. Now, Rodgers was asked about his legacy, and immediately he went to talking about relationships and, memories and all this sort of spiritual, enlightened talk that he's been on for the past couple of years. And look, I get it. That's great, man. No, more power to you, but no one else cares about that, Rodgers. None of that is going to be factored into your football legacy. I remember back in the beginning of the season how he said this was a Super Bowl or bust year. So I'm sorry, bro. Unless you went to the Super Bowl, you really didn't accomplish shit. Now, you can say they accomplished another 13-win season. You can say they accomplished another NFC championship. You can say that he probably accomplished another MVP of the league award, but I'm sorry, this is not MVP town. This is not NFC North Division crown town. This isn't even divisional round town or NFC championship game town. This is title town. So unless you are achieving titles, okay, what did you really achieve? Now, he was asked about his timeline, both right after the game and again on the Pat McAfee show, and he was very specific, saying that he will not be drawing this out like he did over the summer. This is going to be something he's going to be very respectful of everybody's time and the other players who will be involved in this discussion, like Davante Adams. And he also said he was going to make his decision before the start of free agency, which is March 16th. So really, we probably have this sweet spot between the end of the Super Bowl to maybe the first week of March. And if I were to say to be on the lookout for any specific day, probably Tuesday, because he also mentioned in this McAfee interview he thought it would be cool to give McAfee the exclusive on what his future will be. And he might even do it live in Indianapolis. So that definitely will be must-see TV. He also talked about, he doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. He said that in his post-game comments. And he also said that him in the front office, well, he didn't mention the president, but he did say that him and Gutekunst have had a much better relationship since the summer tensions. So that would bode well for those who want him to return, that there seems to be nothing that would keep him from wanting to return on that front. Now, again, he did not mention Mark Murphy, and I think that there is significant. That's significant enough. Murphy's the one who put his foot in his mouth over the summer, talking about Rodgers as a complicated fella, and there were other rumored, secret text message conversations or calls that Murphy had to Rodgers that he to this day has vehemently denied never happened. But just because he's denying it doesn't mean that it didn't happen, because we know Rodgers tends to bend the truth a little bit and play semantics and word games. LaFleur did mention that everybody is on board. Everybody is on board with bringing back Rodgers. The president, the contract guy, the general manager, and himself, they all want Rodgers back. You have to take it with a bit of grain of salt and understand that it still doesn't necessarily mean that anything is set in stone. And Rodgers himself said he needs to take some time away. He's going to take maybe a week or two, relax, decompress, let the pain and the numbness kind of subside and let the finality set in. And then, yeah, he's going to have a talk with the brass, and then he'll kind of take what they say and how he feels and put it together, and hopefully he'll hokey pokey his way back to Green Bay. And if that's what you want, or if that's not what you want, hopefully he'll hokey pokey his way right on out of town, maybe to follow Nathaniel Hackett to whatever team he goes to, or maybe to team up with Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, or any of the other destinations that would be able to give Green Bay a nice, handsome king's ransom in return. He said he has to figure out mentally, does he still want to compete, and does he still want to go through the grind of the offseason and OTAs and the season and practice every single day? These are the sorts of things that he's going to be contemplating when deciding what he's going to do with his future. But he also said that he doesn't, for sure, he knows he's not going to retire just to come back like a year later. So he's not going to do the whole Brett Favre thing. Once he decides what he's going to do, he's going to stick to it. And honestly, I really don't see him retiring. He knows that he can still play at a high level. And, he knows that there will be teams that will pay him handsomely, whether it be with the Packers and some sort of extension, maybe another year or two, or with another team. You know what I'm saying? Like, Rodgers has still probably got a good, and you have to also consider that Rodgers didn't start 3 years. So there's really, you can subtract 3 years from his football life. So he's really got a good 5 or 6 years, honestly, probably really left on his body. Now, but at the same time, I feel like it's his interest in all these other different areas outside of football that could really be splitting his focus, and as a result, he's not able to get to where he wants to ultimately get. Everything is still on the table. Everything's still on the table. The retirement, yeah, it's there. It's a possibility, but I think really more so it's he's coming back to Green Bay or he's leaving for another team. I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think his future holds in Green Bay? Do you want to see him return? Would you like to see a new regime and wish Aaron Rodgers all the best of luck on another team? Do you think that the front office is truly 100% committed to Rodgers? Much like the 3 phases of a football team, you got to subscribe, okay? That's like the offense. You got to that's like the defense. And you have to comment. That's the special teams. That's the special sauce on there. You get all 3 and you got a successful team, family, element, unit going strong. Okay? Until the next show, go Pack go, and remember, the Bears still suck. Peace.